How does the economy work? Well, do you guys remember the illustration that we did in class where we talked about the merry-go-round and we talked about how like the our economy is completely interrelated. Remember how we talked about the factor markets and the product markets, and there's people and there's businesses, and it's just this big circular flow, and we're all kind of interdependent, interconnected. Well, that one way of thinking about that circular flow is, instead of thinking of it as a flow that goes around and around in a circle like a merry-go-round, think of it instead as a wave that goes up and down. In other words, the business cycle. So there are times when that flow is going really fast, when there's lots of people who have jobs, and those people who have jobs are spending lots of money in the product market. And so the money is just going around at a faster pace. Then there are other times where the merry-go-round, if you will, is slowing down. People aren't spending as much, and that is going to be a contraction. And so this business cycle that we've been talking about is a way of thinking about that flow. What's going, like, when things are going good, when things are going bad, when we've bottomed out and we've hit the trough, or when we've hit the peak. So we want to continue kind of talking about this topic of the business cycle. Now, yesterday we talked about what the business cycle is. We wanted to learn the characteristics. And so you learned a list of 4 things, the 4 parts of the business cycle. Well, today you're going to learn another list of 4 things. So you want to learn this and memorize this list of 4. And this list of 4 are the characteristics, not the characteristics, the things that keep the business cycle going. These are the 4 things that are going to make the business cycle move from an expansion to a contraction, or from a contraction into an expansion. So let's learn these 4 things. The 4 things are business investment, interest rates and credits, consumer expectations, and external shocks. Okay? And that 4th one you're going to find is our current situation, an external shock. Okay, first of all, let's talk about business investment. When we say the word business investment, we're saying that businesses have positive expectations. They think that things are going well. And so they're like, yeah, life is great right now. And they have an expectation that they're going to make a lot of money. And so they begin to invest either in R&D, which is research and development, or maybe they build a new factory, they buy new equipment. If you are a hair salon, you say, hey, I'm going to open up a new hair salon down the street. If you're a construction company, you say, hey, I'm going to buy myself a new truck. I'm going to invest in my business. When you see businesses investing, that means that there's going to be an increase in output. So if there's an increase in output, you're going to have expansion happening. On the flip side, if you see businesses pulling back, say, oh boy, we better not open that new store. We better not buy that new equipment. We're pulling back. That means you're in a contraction. So obviously right now, businesses all over the country are just hemorrhaging. They're freaking out because there's a potential of going out of business if they don't have enough customers come in. So they are not investing in their business right now, unless you're Amazon. Amazon is investing. All right, next up, interest rates and credit. Okay, what's an interest rate? Okay, if we were in class right now, I would be asking you questions about interest rates. Like, I would ask you, have you ever bought a car before? I don't know, have any of you guys ever bought a car? Have you ever bought anything or been with your parents when they bought something using interest, using credit? An interest rate is the money that you pay back for borrowing money. So, for instance, my husband and I bought this house when we moved to Indiana. So we bought this house. Well, we didn't have the couple $100,000 that I needed to buy this house. No. We don't have that much money. We borrowed the money. It's called a mortgage. And then we're paying it back every single month plus interest. Now, guys, what's better for you as a consumer? Do you like high interest rates or do you like low interest rates? What's better? Hopefully you guys are all saying, oh, we like low interest rates. Yeah, you like low interest rates. If you're going to borrow money, low interest rates are good. You like that because that means you're paying less back. So Americans use credit to buy big ticket items. The cost of using that is interest. That's what we call interest. So if an interest rate is low, people buy or borrow more. If there's a low interest rate, you might be enticed to, hey, let's get out of this apartment and go buy a house. The interest rates are so low. Let's go buy a new car. The interest rate is low. If the interest rate is high, people don't borrow. People don't want to borrow as much. So what does this mean? This means that if we lower interest rates, it means that it's going to increase consumer spending. But if we increase interest rates, we're going to lower consumer spending. Okay, does that make sense? Think about it, y'all. Okay, well, we'll get there. We'll talk more about this in the next lesson. Interest rates influence businesses too. Guys, so important. Businesses run in a lot of ways like our personal expenses. They buy big ticket items on credit. Most businesses, if they're going to like open a new Starbucks, they usually don't have just all the money they need, the $5 million or however much it takes to open a Starbucks. They have to borrow that money. So if interest rates are high, businesses are not going to buy a new Starbucks. They're not going to invest or grow. Okay, this is huge. Consumer expectations. As we have seen in recent days, consumers have expectations about what's going to happen. And if we have an expectation that all the toilet paper is going to go away or there's not going to be medicine, we begin to act in a certain way. So if consumers have an expectation that the economy is going to contract, we're going into a bad time, we're going to reduce our spending. So like right now, there might be people who thought, hey, I'm going to go buy a house this summer. And now they're looking around and they're going, oh, I better not buy a house. The economy might be going down. So what is that? That's consumer expectations. A lot of times, what happens is that consumer expectations are a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what a prophecy is? Have you ever heard that word? A prophecy is like a foretelling of the future. Like, it's kind of like this, okay? If you go to school one day and you wake up in the morning, you're in a bad mood, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a terrible day. And you slop down the stairs and you go to the kitchen and you're telling everybody, this is going to be a terrible day. And you walk to school and everything goes wrong and your classes are horrible and your teachers are mean to you and somebody looks at you funny in the hall and you walk home and you say, this was a terrible day. Well, what just happened? You self-fulfilled your own prophecy. You woke up in the morning and you said, this is going to be a terrible day. And it was a terrible day because you said it was going to be. Same thing with consumer expectations. If everybody freaks out and we get concerned and we stop buying, we fulfill our prophecy. We say everything's going to be bad. And then because we stop purchasing, everything is bad. Okay. An external shock is what's going on right now. What's going on in our economy right now? Well, we're obviously in a contraction. Our economy is slowing significantly. But why are we in a contraction? Is it because unemployment was happening? Is it because, no, actually, demand was high. Unemployment was extremely low before this whole thing happened. We're in a recession because of an external shock. We just did not see this coming. Just out of the blue, all of a sudden, our businesses are shuttered shut, okay? So because of the COVID-19 situation, that's an example of an external shock. Okay, so from here, I have a little assignment where I want you to take a look at some data, and that's going to be posted at the bottom. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that this made sense and you were able to get your notes filled in. All right, see you soon.